I browse around the Pinterest pages once in a while. Probably too much. And it's kind of a frustrating process because there's so many ads to try to get to the images that I'm really interested in. But there are board games out there. And I find a lot of very interesting stuff that way. And one of those is this game, OSKA. Hey, welcome back to my game room again, my friend. This OSKA game kind of intrigued me. It looked very interesting, kind of like a little two-player puzzle sort of a thing, maybe. And so I decided I would do a little research and check it out. My first stop was, because I had my iPad on my lap already, was to run over there to Board Game Geek and see what they had to say about it. And there it was, OSKA. It was published in 1995 by the Great American Trading Company and or Lagoon Games. That's one thing about the credits page at Board Game Geek is it doesn't really tell you when the various companies published a game. It just has a list of them and the very first publication of the game. Unless you filter through some of the other information in the database, you can miss that completely. Anyway, OSKA was designed by Bryn Jones and Michael Woodward Creations. So who are these people? Bryn Jones. According to TameTheBoardGame.com, he was a miner. I don't mean a youngster, I mean he worked in a mine. And the game was originally designed as something that the guys could do on their break time, scratched into the dirt in the coal mines in Lancashire. He supposedly came up with the game sometime in the 1950s, but didn't do much with it right away. Like 40 years later, he took the game to Michael Woodward Creations. So who's Michael Woodward? Obviously someone very creative. I found Michael Woodward Creations attached to home decor, to fashions and fabrics, even to appliances and packaging design. So apparently the Woodward Studio refined this game, developed it to the point where it could be published, and they get credit on the box as co-designers. Now oddly, even though this professional company put together the instructions to this game, they are a little vague in some areas. You had to do a little bit of assuming as we play the game to be sure that it's actually playable. Then we get to the Great American Trading Company. Who's that? Well, it turns out there's a lot of Great American Trading Companies. A huge toy store in Texas, a brass works in California, a manufacturer of dinnerware in Pennsylvania. The name was also trademarked in 1993 as a retail mail-order catalog service featuring clothing, outdoor goods, sporting goods, and general merchandise and consultation related thereto. I also noticed the abbreviation GATCO, but that didn't help much. There's lots of GATCOs as well. There's a GATCO that makes bathroom fixtures, another that does tool sharpeners, a GATCO that makes windows, and it's even the Guild of Air Traffic Control Officers. But the Great American Trading Company, with this logo, produced a lot of different games. The greatest share of those were what I would call novelty games and public domain stuff that you would expect to be in souvenir shops, mom and pop shops. That includes Mancala, because why not? But it's also like checkers, Sternhalma, Admiral's Daughter, dominoes, marble sets, jacks, tiddlywinks, pickup sticks, and more, and more, and more, and you get the idea. But they also did some what I would call more legitimate board games, and that included Avalam, which won some awards, and it made the games 100. Ball and Chain, which Gigamic published as Eclipse. Pyros, also called Pylos by Gigamic, that's also made the games 100. Hijara, which was another Games 100 selection. Octi, another award winner, which came in a variety of styles. OSKA, which is actually what this video is about. Quadrangle, a Mensa Select game. Quivive, with a sticker on the shrink wrap. Corridor, there's that sticker again. Stick around. Hey, I have a copy of that. Stick around. Trezzo or Trezzo. Matching attributes. Upthrust. Oh, that sounds painful. It's actually an award winner based on a Sid Sackson game. Winkers. I got no idea what that's about. And Yote, which is an African game. We actually make that ourselves here at NewVenture Games, so check that out in our catalog. But that's quite a lineup. There's a lot of games there and a lot of toys that came from a company that's really hard to track down. So, according to the Board Game Geek website, the Great American Trading Company must be somehow affiliated with Gigamic because it's got the Gigamic logo on the page. It kind of looks like Gigamic makes the products and then the Great American Trading Company adds their logo to it. But I have more gaps here than I do story. Maybe a location would help. All the game packages, or most of them, show the address as 90 Willow Springs Circle in York, Pennsylvania. And that was confirmed in the Toy Directory website. But that location has been the home of the Baldwin Electric Supply Company since 1997. Then I found an article that was from the 1996 summer edition of the Middlesex Business Review in Cromwell, Connecticut. And it mentions Yale Gordon, National Sales Manager for the Great American Trading Company, located at 39 Main Street in Deep River. So, Deep River, Connecticut. So I Googled that address. I couldn't find it. There was a 39 something else that connected to Main Street, but there was no 39 Main Street, and certainly nothing that looked like a factory or even a warehouse. Bruce Whitehill had an item on his Big Game Hunter website from 2003 that says American Trading Company is alive and well. He mentioned CEO Dave Karkowski and that they were located in Pennsylvania near where the aliens invaded in War of the Worlds. He also noted in the article that Yale Gordon had left the company. So I'm talking about the same company. There's that same guy. So that Connecticut connection remains a little bit mysterious when it refers back to York, Pennsylvania. So then I found another Great American Trading Company in London, England. And it had that LTD at the end of it. Looks like that company's been out of business for a while. Still not sure how all that worked out. But here's another interesting twist. The Lagoon Company, Lagoon Games, was also located in London, England, and their website is thelagoongroup.com. But before we go there, let's talk about OSKA. The OSKA board is a unique configuration of diagonals. Each player gets just 4 checkers, light or dark, red or black, depending on the edition that you're playing with. There's no defined way to choose a first player. Moves are one space at a time, diagonally across the edges of each space. Pieces are captured by jumping, as in checkers or drafts. Jumps are apparently optional. When either player gets all of their uncaptured pieces to the opponent's starting row, the game is over, and that player wins. This means if your pieces are captured, you have fewer pieces to reach the goal, which is a good thing. It's possible to end the game in a draw, but there are usually choices available to avoid it. And that's the entire game, mechanically speaking. It's a fast and fun little game, sort of like those little Korean Kono games. You don't get a lot invested in there, and you can play a lot of games one after the other. Best 3 out of 5, that sort of thing. The goal is a little reminiscent of Claude Soucy's Lines of Action, where the fewer pieces you have on the board, the easier it is to win. I think it's worth getting a copy of OSKA or making one. There's really not that much to it. You could use a piece of paper and some checkers to play the game. And so here it is, in a neat red package, the Great American Trading Company, the Inventor Collection, and another neat red package. But this one says Lagoon Games. And they both say Michael Woodward Creative on the back, too. And there are more games in this Inventor Collection. To bring this Lagoon Games thing up to date, let's visit the website, lagoongroup.com. What's that up in the left corner? University Games. I'm familiar with them. I found a press release dated October of 2020. And it said, University Games has purchased the Lagoon Group, a UK leader in gifts, games, puzzles, and books from Asmodee. From Asmodee. So that explains who the Lagoon Group is. It was started in 1988 and apparently as diversified as the Great American Trading Company. Lagoon Group and others make some games. The Great American Trading Company imports them and puts their logo on the side of the box. And here's an interesting one. Look at all the names on this box. FX Schmidt's there, the Great American Trading Company is there, and on and on and on. So the whole story is still a little vague, hasn't quite revealed itself to me yet, but it does appear that the Great American Trading Company, at least this one, is out of business now. I did find that there's a few products still available online, but I can't find the company itself. If you have any clues, let me know. Be really curious to resolve this in my mind as to what that company's all about and whether they're maybe hidden away in a closet in York, Pennsylvania yet. So, that being the case, be sure to play every day. Hey, stick around.